Have you ever stopped to think that this relentless pursuit of happiness might be leading you in the wrong direction? While many search for answers in complex techniques, grand achievements, or unreachable goals, true happiness might actually be in what you already have, the now. It's intriguing, isn't it? What if everything you've ever wanted, inner peace and serenity, was right at your fingertips in the simple act of letting life be? It seems counterintuitive, but it's precisely when we stop fighting, stop trying to control every detail, that the universe gives us what we truly need. Are we making things more complicated than they need to be? Maybe the solution to your well-being is where we least expect it, in the simplicity of just being. Let's explore this philosophy and discover how this concept can transform your life. There is an almost forgotten beauty in the simplicity of just being. It seems like such a normal thing, doesn't it? But if we reflect deeply, we live in a world where our minds are constantly restless, always searching for the next big thing, the next big goal. We rarely pause to simply connect with the present. And the present, this very moment, is where everything really happens. Many believe that the secret to inner peace is hidden in advanced techniques or long spiritual journeys, when, in fact, it can be as simple as consciously breathing. It's as if our minds, overwhelmed by the chaos of the world, forget the power of stillness. The simple act of being present is often the key to unlocking lasting peace. Is it really that difficult? Or is the difficulty within ourselves? The modern mind has become accustomed to constant searching. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with stimuli, and as a result, our thoughts get tangled in a web of worries, desires, and distractions. The need to plan for the future or relive the past prevents us from fully living in the present. But by slowing down and allowing the mind to calm, like the surface of a lake at dawn, we can see more clearly. And it's in this serenity that we find the true essence of being. Here, the universe seems to conspire in our favor, providing us with a higher energetic vibration, a harmony with the vibrational frequencies of existence. It's incredible how different life feels when lived without the constant pressure of doing. The simplicity of being is not a denial of life, but a complete acceptance of it. By surrendering to the moment, we begin to realize that happiness is not out there, in some distant place or uncertain future, but right here, in every breath, in every heartbeat. When we focus on the present, a new reality emerges, one where the mysteries of the universe begin to naturally unfold. Many people go through life believing that happiness is something to be achieved. But what if, instead, it's something we already have? We just need to remember it. This is the wisdom that few share, and curiously, it's the secret to transforming our entire reality. This journey to being is, in a way, the most important one of all. It's not about achieving some great goal, but about rediscovering what was always there. And by practicing this, one begins to tune into a higher vibrational frequency, something that brings not only peace, but a cosmic connection to the quantum field that surrounds us. Consciousness awakens to a new reality, where the simple act of existing transforms into a manifestation of fulfillment. But how can we deepen this practice? That's something the next step will reveal. Imagine the weight we carry when we place all our hopes in a future that, in truth, never belonged to us. Clinging to expectations is like building sandcastles by the shore, knowing the waves will inevitably come. Yet humans seem inclined to live by predictions, always waiting for the ideal that, as tempting as it may be, can be as fleeting as a summer breeze. And when things don't go as planned, frustration and despair come knocking. It's curious how we rarely stop to think, what if, instead of fighting the tide, we simply floated with it? What if accepting what comes is the key to inner peace? This is where detachment becomes not just a choice, but a necessity for those seeking to understand the universe. The idea that everything is temporary, that nothing is fixed, gives us an unprecedented sense of freedom. Wouldn't it be liberating to let go of the desire to control every detail and simply trust the flow of life? After all, just as the sun rises and sets without our command, life also follows its natural cycles, often surprising us with gifts we never could have imagined. Instead of resisting, learning to accept impermanence can open doors to a deeper connection with our inner self. The practice of detachment is not about ignoring our desires, but about fully understanding them and at the same time realizing that they should not define our happiness. Expectations, when fed excessively, create an invisible prison that prevents us from appreciating what we already have. But what if the secret lies in detaching without losing enthusiasm for life? As the great philosopher Lao Tzu said, "He who clings to the past or future loses the present, and the present is where the magic happens, where the true essence of existence vibrates." So the question remains, how do we begin to practice detachment? It's not about renouncing the world or our dreams, but about changing how we relate to them. When we let go of control, we make room for the universe to work in unexpected ways, often surprising us with better outcomes than we ever could have imagined. The key is to walk lightly, without carrying the weight of what we think should be. This prepares us for the next step on this journey, observing thoughts without being dominated by them. The human mind is truly a box of surprises, an uninterrupted stream of thoughts that seem to flow uncontrollably, right? But what if, instead of being carried away by them, a person could simply observe each thought as it arises? The secret here isn't about controlling the mind, but allowing thoughts to come and go like clouds in the sky. When someone starts seeing their thoughts as mere passing phenomena, they begin to realize that they aren't obligated to follow every single one. This offers a sense of freedom because by stepping back from the mental whirlwind, they start to see a much calmer and more serene reality, almost as if they were in direct contact with a universal wisdom. A practical example of this can be seen in the practice of meditation. Picture someone sitting in silence, eyes closed, and thoughts popping up like flashes. "I need to do this. What if that happens? Oh, I forgot to reply to that email." But instead of getting caught up in these thoughts, the person just observes them, almost as if they were watching a movie. Interesting, they might think, but I don't need to act on that right now. Over time, this practice of observing thoughts helps slow down the mind and let go of the burden of mental control, creating space for a deeper connection with what's beyond the tangible world, the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Isn't it fascinating to think that by observing their own thoughts, a person can access a new layer of understanding of reality? This shows us that the mind, when it's not in control, becomes a powerful tool, a bridge to higher levels of consciousness. How many times have you found yourself trapped in repetitive thoughts, almost like a mental prison, not realizing that you've had the key all along? And that key lies in the ability to observe without judgment. By practicing this mental detachment, the barriers between the individual and the universe begin to dissolve, allowing a more harmonious and profound energetic vibration. This observation isn't just a temporary escape from problems, but rather a path to spiritual awakening. When a person tunes into this higher vibrational frequency, they begin to access deeper truths about themselves and the universe. With each thought that arises and is observed, the person frees themselves a little more, as if each thought were a small manifestation of what's to come, a clue to what's being revealed in their own journey of self-discovery and expansion of consciousness. After all, the mind just needs to be understood, not controlled. And when a person truly grasps this, they realize that life flows in a much lighter and more natural way. The practice of mindful walking is like a harmonious dance between body and mind, where each step becomes a reflection of our connection with the universe around us. When walking mindfully, there's no room for haste or worry. The rhythm of walking is guided by breathing, heartbeat, and the awareness of the present moment. In this state of presence, the individual frees themselves from the need to interpret every sensation or thought that arises. Imagine yourself in a park, feeling the ground beneath your feet, the soft sound of the wind brushing the trees. There's no urgency, just the simple act of being present in the here and now, letting each step connect you more deeply with your essence. After all, how many times do we walk around without really being there? By slowing down and bringing awareness to each movement, you realize that walking turns into a meditation in motion. It may seem simple at first glance, but the benefits are profound. Instead of letting the mind wander off to daily problems and worries, it's trained to focus on what's happening in real time. The birds singing, the smell of damp earth, the light breeze touching your skin. This practice not only calms the mind, but also raises energetic vibration, allowing a deeper connection with the quantum field around us. And it's interesting to notice that the more we tune into this vibrational frequency, the more we can distance ourselves from the mental agitation that so often distracts us. With each step, the mind quiets a little more. One thing quickly becomes clear: mindful walking isn't limited to parks or nature trails. This practice can be incorporated into daily life, whether on the way to work, on city streets, or even at home. The key is to slow down and open yourself to the sensations and experiences of the present moment, letting go of automatic interpretations. And what does that bring? An expansion of consciousness, a clearer perception of reality, and a deep sense of spiritual healing, as if the simple act of walking could align body, mind, and spirit with universal wisdom. As someone once said, it's not the destination that matters, but the journey. However, patience is required. In the beginning, the mind tends to resist. Intrusive thoughts appear, and the urge to interpret everything seems inevitable. But over time, this resistance fades, and mindful walking becomes a powerful tool for self-awareness and personal growth. Each time the mind strays, there's an opportunity to bring the focus back to the present. It's almost as if, with each step, we're walking toward our own essence, discovering the mysteries of the universe and our own consciousness. And who would have thought that something as simple as walking could open doors to such inner depth? Acceptance is a powerful act, but not necessarily an easy one. How many times in life do we face situations that challenge our ability to simply accept? The human ego constantly battles against reality, trying to control and shape events according to its expectations. But true peace arises when one understands that control is an illusion. It's in releasing that control that the mind finds serenity. Thus, acceptance is not submission, but an openness to the universe's vibration, allowing it to guide our journey without the resistance of fear or anxiety. When we accept the present moment, we align with the vibrational frequency that permeates the quantum field. And it's in this harmony that we find spiritual healing. This process of acceptance also involves surrender, and often we confuse surrender with giving up. But surrender, in its essence, is the acceptance that not everything needs to be solved through willpower. It's about letting go of the constant struggle to control life and allowing the natural flow of the universe to guide us. Imagine you're swimming in a river. If you keep fighting against the current, you'll only tire yourself out. But if you surrender to the flow, you'll find a natural rhythm, a cosmic connection that will carry you to your destination with more ease. Deep down, it's the universe reminding us that we're here to learn, not to force life to bend to our terms. It's fascinating to realize how the act of surrendering to the present is related to the expansion of consciousness. By letting go of rigid expectations and judgments, we allow our aura to expand and tune in to universal wisdom. This leads us to a state of spiritual awakening, where we begin to see beyond the illusions of the mind. Paramahansa Yogananda said that when we surrender to divine will, we align ourselves with a higher energy that brings healing and transformation. And it's at this point that life becomes more fluid, lighter, and paradoxically, more meaningful. Of course, this acceptance takes practice. It's not something that happens overnight. This brings us to an important reflection. How can we apply this acceptance and surrender in our daily lives? One practical way is to start small. Instead of trying to control everything, choose a situation where you feel pressured and practice letting go. Let things flow without interference. Observe how the energy around you shifts when you release the need for control. It's in this daily exercise that true surrender to the present moment begins to and this leads us to the next step of this journey, which will reveal the depth of what it really means to surrender to the present moment. Surrender to the present moment is one of the most powerful practices we can cultivate in our spiritual journey. When we talk about surrender, we're not talking about giving up or becoming passive in life. On the contrary, surrender means accepting what is, without resisting, without fighting against reality. It's about stopping the attempt to control the natural flow of life and simply allowing ourselves to be present in the here and now. Most of us live with our minds constantly focused on the past or the future, missing the opportunity to truly experience the present. We're always worried about what happened or anxious about what's to come, which creates an internal tension that prevents us from experiencing true peace. Surrendering to the present moment is an invitation to let go of this tension and embrace what is happening right now, no matter how it looks. When we surrender to the now, we enter a state of deep acceptance. This doesn't mean we like everything that's happening. or that we don't have desires for the future. It does mean, however, that we stop resisting what we can't change at the moment. This acceptance creates space for inner peace, as resistance is what generates suffering. By letting go of the need for control and resistance, we find a freedom that goes beyond external circumstances. The practice of surrendering to the present moment also connects us to the essence of life. The now is the only moment that truly exists. The past has already gone, and the future hasn't arrived yet. When we are present, we are in tune with the flow of life. It's in this state that true joy and gratitude emerge. Small moments, which often go unnoticed, become sources of deep joy. The sound of the wind in the trees, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the smile of a child. Additionally, by surrendering to the present moment, we open ourselves up to the wisdom of the universe. Life has a natural flow, and when we stop resisting, we become more receptive to the opportunities and synchronicities that arise. Often, we're so caught up in our minds and our worries that we fail to notice the solutions or paths that are right in front of us. Surrender allows us to see clearly and act in accordance with life's flow, rather than fighting against it. Surrender does not mean inactivity. In fact, by being fully present, our actions become more effective and aligned with the truth of the moment. We act from a place of peace rather than a place of fear or anxiety. And it's in this state of presence that true transformation occurs. Surrendering to the present moment frees us from the grip of the mind and allows us to experience life in its fullness. Therefore, surrendering to the present moment is a key to living with more peace, joy, and freedom. When we stop resisting what is and accept the natural flow of life, everything becomes lighter. We find deep contentment in simply being, and it's in this state of being that we discover the true meaning of inner freedom. Now that you know the philosophy of let life be, the question that remains is, are you ready to really apply it? What's stopping you from letting go of your worries about the future and frustrations from the past? Could your relentless pursuit of control be keeping you from the true peace you seek? Life can be lighter, simpler, if you allow the natural flow to happen. And what if, instead of fighting the current, you learn to float with it? Put this wisdom into practice. Challenge yourself to observe your thoughts, to accept the present moment, and maybe, just maybe, discover a new way of living with less stress and more freedom. I invite you to try this change, even if it seems simple. You'll be surprised at the impact it can have on your life. If you enjoyed this content and want to keep learning more about how to transform your mindset and achieve true happiness, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and leave a like here. Also, don't forget to check out the next video that's going to pop up on the screen. I'm sure it will help you even more on this journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.